Welcome back to the Ego Actus reading series, Dramatic Voices. My name is Laura, and folks, once again, we've got a new playwright and a new director on our list, this time for March 17th's play, Painter's Bluff. If I could have my playwright and director introduce themselves with a quick hello.
Hi, my name is Chima Chikazunga, the playwright.
I'm Ivette Dumeng, the director of the play.
I am thrilled to have both of you here. I am excited to get started. And I say we begin with you, Chima, as our playwright. I think my first question for you would be, it's the usual typical question, right? But what brought you into the world of theater? And specifically, what kind of brought you into the world of writing, playwriting, really?
Uh, Theater actually is a very good question. I was a little bit of a class clown in high school and spent a lot of time in my principal's office. And so, in order not to get suspended, vice principal challenged me to audition for the school play, and that was pretty much it. Um, I had one line. My friend was sitting in the audience, and she laughed, and that it fascinated me. Like, I didn't know I could do that. I didn't know the I guess the magic of theater, so to speak. But I liked the challenge and stuck with it.
I love that. I think that's maybe the first story I've heard doing this series where it comes through being a class clown and then being told, well, because of that, you now have to try theater. And it looks like you really did enjoy it and you've been kind of sticking with it ever since, right?
Yeah. The and you always got to challenge yourself as an artist. I feel, and whether it's acting, directing, writing, painting, whatever, you want to challenge yourself because it keeps you going.
For sure. Yvette, what about from
Yeah.
your end? Was it similar? Were you a bit of a class clown, or was there a different journey for you that came to the theater and possibly directing?
No, very interesting journey as well. But mine started, I started as a singer. So I was singing, and then I then started seeing a lot of theater with my godfather, who basically turned me on to the arts even more. And I was acting in a play. And then somebody out of the blue said, hey, you're really good. Can you direct my play? And I'm like, can I direct a play? I was like, okay, yeah, I'll direct it. I never directed anything before, but I truly believe that when somebody sees something in you, I always follow through on that, because I think that's an interesting thing, because when people see something that you don't see yourself, well, I never question it. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And I ended up like having so much fun directing. And also because I came from acting, I felt like I understood sort of the background of it all. And so that was pretty easy to transfer it over to directing, and how every actor sort of requires different things. And seeing that is so fun. It's like looking at the bigger picture, and still focus on the smaller things, which I really like. But yeah,
That's
no, I enjoy doing it.
Yeah, it feels really special, right? That you kind of
Yeah.
start off and then someone tells you that, hey, you have this kind of talent. You should be able, or we would like for you to share it, or we would like for you to take on this role. And suddenly you realize, oh, there is something I can do here. And I guess just like you, Chima, it just stuck. So both of you have, you both had a bit of a different journey, but you found that kind of enjoyment through it. And especially people came to you and said, there you go, give it a shot. We like what you do. Um, I love it. That's a good journey to have for the both of you. But let's,
It's like igniting a fire in you that's sometimes you just don't see it, you don't think about it until somebody else notices it. It's really a nice thing.
well
Yeah.
said. And yeah, it absolutely is. It kind of lights that fire under you, and you say, well, maybe I can go even further. Maybe I can dive right into it. I'm very glad for both of you that that was the experience that led you
Hmm.
here for this kind of series.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
So why don't we dive in now? Let's talk about the process. And Chima, I'll bring the question back to you. What was it like writing this play? And what's the process in general for you, especially telling this story and preparing it for the series?
It's a great question. I want to say, like, this particular play came about, um, like Yvette, I wear multiple hats. But I had a director come see one of my first plays that I directed in the city, and I was acting in it and playing two parts. And the director came backstage and just said one word, powerful, and
Mm.
then wanted to talk and said, if you ever write something and the role is juicy enough, I'd love to read it. So I wrote two plays for them, and they actually helped me flush this one out, um, asking me smart questions about the characters and finding the right journey to go on with the story. And so, um, more challenges, so to speak. So, to sit there and write something for somebody with them in mind was a huge challenge, but helped me get the story out.
I'm
This is
sure.
one of many, I think, many parts, which I think would be good for people to know. Right?
Yeah, it's part of a
Yeah.
5 play cycle. This play is part 3. It changes.
Part 3 of 5.
Yes, part 3 of 5. It is part 3 of 5.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because it's 5 different plays, but are they focused on different characters?
Yeah. It's not necessarily, it follows Chauncey in different stages of his life from 19 to about 30. Starts off at 19, and then part 5, he's 30. So, but you get to see him interact with people. And this particular play is the closing week of his internship.
It's incredible. That kind of storytelling it just feels so unique, right? And in the past interviews I've had with your fellow playwrights and directors in this series, they always talk about how you can find something so unique within the theater that sometimes you don't get through maybe cinema or television. But I'll admit, this kind of storytelling feels really cinematic. So I'm excited for you both and for your cast and for the audience to kind of witness this play and then see how it'll keep growing with each of the parts, right?
Yeah, I'm also excited to have this in front of an audience to see what they take away from it.
Absolutely. Yvette, similar
Yeah.
question to you. Less so about the process of playwriting, in this case, but looking at Chima's play and going
Mhm.
through the process of preparing and seeing it through a director's eyes. What was that process like?
So for me, when I get a play, I read it. I don't get too deep into it because I feel like sometimes that hinders the process of directing for me. I feel like when I read it, I'm reading it like just like if I were to sort of speed through a recording. And then when I'm in the room, I get very specific. And I knew automatically that this play did require just a little more rehearsal. It's about 79 pages. It's not a comedy. I see it as a psychological drama. It's a really interesting thing, but it really does require rehearsal because every single actor would bring their own personalities, and then we have to sort of unite it in the language of the play and bringing us sort of together in the world. And I love it. I love bringing everyone to basically to be on the same page. And I don't go forward until everyone feels really like they've explored the sections of the play, because I mean, that's, for me, that's the fun part of directing, to be able to sort of break it down with them, because they're the ones experiencing it. And if I tell them what I think, I feel like sometimes that stops an actor from really learning and figuring it out for themselves in the moment. Yeah.
That's great. It's so clear and concise, right? You sometimes have directors that kind of go in a very artistic path, right? They see a play or they see a musical with the very fine details. And others look at them in the very big picture of what does this story tell us overall and what can we get? And I love how you're telling this kind of process. And on top of that, how you work with the actors and making sure that everyone is on the same page, everyone understands what story is being told and why you folks are telling it. I'm sure that it's been a very insightful and eye-opening time, right? Not just for the whole team, but for you as well.
Yeah, I also have to say that I am very much of a playwrights director. I love playwrights in the room. I love input. I feel like it's a very collaborative thing. I feel like it's not about you, it's about the playwright. In theater, it's about the play and the playwright. It's not about the director. It is the actor as an individual. It's more about the playwright. And I love that, because that's what I think an actor is, an actor that can take someone else's words and make it their own. And it's exciting to watch someone like really transport you with somebody else's material. That excites me as an actor, but also obviously as a director.
For sure. And it's great to see how much collaboration the both of you have, especially at this level, right? The directors and playwrights that I've spoken to, talk about the collaboration between the playwright, the director, the actors, and once a play goes into bigger territory, right? You've got the scenic designer and all that. But I love that kind of mindset of this is the playwright's play, and you're here to help elevate the story rather than solely make it your own, if that's what I'm understanding correctly, which is a really cool mindset.
Yeah, because I think some directors do tend to put a stamp on it, like, oh, so when you see it, you're like, oh, that's so and so, that's the director, and I think we sort of overlook that the play is the thing, and you start to sort of add things that are not probably in the vision of the playwright. And I don't know, I feel like that sort of, it's like stealing away the experience of a playwright's work in a way. Some plays do require you to put a stamp on it. And for Chima's play specifically, I feel like he wrote a very clear play. And I feel like it has its own language and it requires its own sort of take,
I love it. I think it's great insight to have, especially for our viewers who have been hearing so far different perspectives from our playwrights and from our directors. And this is a really new and fresh take, right? It still belongs into the collaboration between artists telling a story, but you see it in a different light. And I think folks will really appreciate to hear that. I know I do. If they don't, you've certainly got me by your corner enjoying this. But since we're on the topic of collaboration, this is usually the last question I ask to my playwright and director for the interviews. And usually I like to have this be more of a casual conversation than just first you and then you. So I'm curious for both of you. The show goes up March 17th, the Sunday. I'm wondering what you hope the audience response will be. What do you hope to get from your audience when they see this show?
I want to say laughter, because it touches on some heavy topics. So yeah, maybe a sense of hope. Maybe they walk away with a sense of hope.
Hope in what way do you think? Like that they see themselves, or like for me, What I like people to come away with is, I want you to say, I want more, or I want to see more of this play, or I want to see more of this playwright, or I want to see more of this story. I feel like when people leave like wanting more, it really does beg basically it begs for it to be produced. And I feel like, I think Chima really wants it to be produced. He might not tell you that, but every playwright wants their play to be seen. And I think you talked about the experience of the audience, and how that you talked to me about that. You want to tell her about it, or?
Did I?
Yeah. Do you want me to say it?
Yeah, it's tough.
You said this. You said, I don't care if the audience doesn't understand it.
Did I say that?
You did. And I thought that's very interesting, because for me, the audience is that other, they're very much an integral part of the play.
Oh, no, that's okay.
Do you want to elaborate?
Yeah, okay. It's coming back to me.
Okay.
I didn't actually say I don't care. I said I can't worry about worry about them
liking it or something, right?
Liking it, because it's there. You can't worry about it's a variable. It's like it's unexpected.
It's art.
Yeah.
So with art, not everyone's right.
Yeah.
So not everyone's gonna like your art.
So if I'm worried about that one person who hates it, I'll drive myself insane.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So I try not to worry about the audience. I hope they understand it. I hope they laugh, I hope they cry, but it's out of my hands.
Yeah.
So
I feel like that too. When you direct, you have to really sit back and you just have to say, okay, we did the best we could. It's people are seeing it. It's raw, because with these things, there's only a couple of hours of rehearsal. Like we had 3 hours of rehearsal already.
Yes.
And then we're having, on the day of, we have a 3 more or 4 more. But this is an 80-page script, and it isn't, there's monologues, and it really requires the time. And so I think when the audience, what I want them to take away is really like, I want them to understand it. And I want them to ask questions. I want them to ask the question. Yeah. And sometimes you have an answer as the playwright or director, you have the answer, and they are the ones that have the questions. And that's kind of interesting, because it creates the conversation,
Hopefully.
What a cool mindset for you both. No, I think that's great. And you're absolutely right. Right? Once the play goes up, once a show goes up, it's a little bit out of your hands, right? It takes on the life that you've given it, and you're putting it out for the audience to see. And Chima, you're absolutely right. If you worry about what one person says about the show, if it's negative, you're going to eat yourself away. So I completely understand that mindset of you can't worry about it. You have to let the show live out its life, proudly live out its life. And hopefully on the 17th, you will get some kind of that response, right? That interest, that sense of, I have questions, I want to learn more, especially with this being a small part in what is a bigger story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I want to see the other 4 pieces of this journey, of this what would you call this as
cycle.
A whole? The cycle. Yeah.
It's I think the proper term is a tretology.
A what?
Tretology? No, that's 7. I don't know.
Maybe
it's something. It's something. I'm 5 right now, but
the cycles make sense. Yeah.
It is a cycle. Yes.
Well, I know that I'm also excited for it. And I know that the audience will be very excited to see this one on the 17th. And I'm sure that the cycle is going to keep growing. And I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
I can't wait for you to see it either.
Well, folks, thank you so much. This has been the Ego Actus Reading Series Dramatic Voices podcast. The next play, Painter's Bluff, will be live Sunday, March 17th. Tickets are free, donations are accepted, and if you want to learn more, you can go to egoactus.com. That's EGOACTUS.com. Ivette, Chima, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so
Thank you
much for
so
having
much.
us. We appreciate it.